Today, let's talk about BAS. It's one of those things most business owners in Australia have to deal with, and unfortunately, it's also one of the most common places people trip up, and the mistakes, they're really expensive. But before we jump into the details, here's what we're going to cover. You'll learn the 5 biggest BAS mistakes that I see all the time in small business. Things like claiming the wrong GST, using the wrong accounting method, coding expenses incorrectly, and not reporting employee tax withholding. You'll also learn how to identify if you're making those mistakes, how to stay on the ATO's good side, and how to avoid nasty surprises like penalties and interest. If you lodge your own BAS, or even if you have a bookkeeper, you're going to want to hear this. It's simple stuff, but it can save you thousands. So let's go through the 5 most common mistakes I see with BAS, and more importantly, how to avoid them. The first one's a biggie, claiming GST on things you're not allowed. Just because there's GST on a receipt doesn't mean you're entitled to claim it. You need to make sure the supplier is actually registered for GST, and you'd be surprised how many aren't. I've seen business owners claim GST on things like purchases from small sole traders or market stalls where there's no ABN or GST registration. No ABN? That means no GST credit. And then there are the private or mixed-use expenses, meals and entertainment. You can't claim the full GST on those. The ATO sees this stuff a mile away, and it's a common audit trigger. If you're not sure if an expense qualifies, check with your accountant. And also check the tax invoice. It should show the GST amount clearly, and the ABN should match a registered business. Don't just assume. And next we have mistake number 2, confusing cash and accrual accounting. It might sound technical, but here's what it means in plain English. If you report your business activity statement on a cash basis, which most small businesses do, you only declare income and expenses that have actually been paid. Not invoiced, paid. But what I often see is people entering bills and invoices into their software and then reporting those amounts in their BAS, even though the money hasn't moved. That's an accrual method, and unless you're registered for it, you could be overstating your GST and overpaying the ATO. You end up short on cash because you've paid GST on money you haven't received yet. Not fun. So always double-check which method you're using and make sure your activity statement is based on the right one. The method will be clearly shown in your ATO login. It's an easy mistake, but a painful one. And mistake number 3, lodging your BAS without first reconciling your bank accounts. I get it. It's the end of the quarter, you're in a rush, and you just want it lodged and done. But if your bank accounts aren't reconciled, you're probably missing transactions, or worse, duplicating them. That little red number sitting on your dashboard saying, unreconciled, that's where things go wrong. I've seen people submit BAS reports with thousands of dollars in GST sitting in suspense accounts. Your accounting system cannot count unreconciled transactions. You need to code and reconcile so your system knows how to treat each item. Once it's lodged, it's locked in and can only be corrected with an amendment, and that attracts ATO attention. So make sure your reconciliation is 100% complete, with every transaction matched, every balance checked. Your numbers are only as good as the bookkeeping behind them. Mistake number 4, coding errors. And this one is a silent killer. It's easy to do, especially if you're in a rush or relying on automated rules in your software. I've seen capital purchases like vehicles being coded as general expenses, meaning the full GST isn't claimed when it should, or someone accidentally claiming GST on things like bank fees, interest, or stamp duty, which are not GST inclusive. Then there's the classic ATO payments coded as a GST expense. That one really messes up your reports. It's not an expense and has no GST. The key here is slow down and double-check your coding. If you're unsure, ask your accountant to review your chart of accounts and set up some consistent rules. The more structure you have, the less chance there is of error. And never just accept the system's suggested coding. Check it first. Next, we have mistake number 5, forgetting to report PAYG withholding. If you have employees and you're withholding tax from their wages, that amount needs to be included in your BAS. A lot of business owners forget about it, especially if their payroll software doesn't automatically link up to BAS reporting. The danger here is not just that the ATO chases you for the missed payment, they will charge a late lodgement penalty and interest. So make sure PAYG withholding is included at the right label on your activity statement, even if it's just a small amount. Now, let me give you a bonus tip, and this one applies to every mistake we've just talked about. Don't guess. Seriously, if you're not sure about a code, a transaction, or how something should be treated, don't just pick something and move on. That's how the problem snowballs. Look it up, ask your bookkeeper, call your accountant. Our BAS clients can code those amounts to an account called I don't know suspense, and our bookkeepers will correctly code the transaction before completing your BAS. You can also check the ATO's BAS guidance. It's actually written in plain English these days. A 5-minute check could save you hours of cleanup later and a lot of unnecessary penalties. And one more thing, stay ahead of your lodgement deadlines. Don't leave everything until the last minute. If you reconcile regularly, weekly or fortnightly, then BAS time becomes way less stressful. You're not backtracking through months of unknowns. The more proactive you are, the more accurate your BAS will be, and the fewer surprises you'll get from the ATO. And if BAS still feels overwhelming, that's totally normal. It's not your job to be a tax expert, but it is your job to make sure it gets done right. So if you're not sure, get help. Book a free meeting to speak to me about our BAS service. It comes with a no tax surprise guarantee. The link is in the description below.